Hi, this is Bob Kay from Biker Pros. We're here at the Harley-Davidson Museum 2012 Custom Bike Show. I have with me the last entry to come on this year's qualifier show, and that's the Iver Brothers from St. John, Michigan. These guys had a little trouble getting down to the show. And that's not uncommon when you're building bikes of this caliber. Last-minute details that don't quite come together. The long trip, probably about a 6-hour trip or so. But you know, they called me, we kept in touch all weekend, and they were dedicated builders, committed to coming and making this year's first inaugural show here at the museum. So we have Ivan and Grant here. They built this bike together. Pretty special bike. Got a shovel head base, kind of I don't know, board track style. What do you call it? What was your motivation or inspiration when you were putting this together?
Well, actually, it all started, I was working at a gas station, and I had a piece of receipt paper. I was just doodling, and I drew a bike where the whole thing fit between the tires. So it wasn't necessarily that we were going for a board track style or anything like that. It just kind of ended up looking like that. But the whole idea was just, you know what, let's build a bike where if you set the thing upside down, it'd sit on a rubber. And yeah, actually, even though it doesn't really quite look like it, if you stand it up straight, the whole time we were building it, the one thing we made sure of, and we actually laid a piece of steel across the top, steel bar across the top to make sure the very tallest point on the whole bike is the top of the rubber, and from there you just got to kind of let the thing build itself.
So Grant, you guys have specialties. Is one of you a chassis guy and one an engine guy? How do you you know, brothers can be great to work with, but they can be a pain in the ass too. So how was that putting this together?
It's not too bad. I usually do the engine rebuilds while he's working on a lot of the more detailed work, and then we just kind of come together and from there call people when it gets down to the line and help us.
Yeah, I understand that. You know, this weekend we've had Edge up here from the Smokeout, and we're talking a lot about garage builders and people putting together world-class bikes on limited budgets. And when we were talking before, I noticed you had an SU carb, big popular carb in the 70s. Tell me a little bit how you acquired that SU carb and why that was your choice of fuel.
Well, it was actually just kind of dumb luck. We'd never even heard of an SU carb, and we happened to have a guy stop in our shop, and he was asking us about his carburetor, and we didn't have an answer for him. But a couple other guys that we knew actually knew what it was. And a few weeks later, and this is literally maybe a month ago, our parts guy was just on Craigslist like he always is, just looking for whatever, and he popped across a rebuilt SU carburetor for $100, and it looked like the bike. It just fit.
It definitely belongs with that, and you know, Rivera Primo is responsible for bringing those carburetors. We used to sell a lot of them in the 70s, so they're a little tricky to tune. If you need some help, give John or Ben a call over at Rivera, and they'll be glad to help you out, I'm sure. You know, they'd like to see that. So let's talk a little bit more about the style of this bike. You know, what size wheels, and what about those wheels? Is that something you made yourself?
Yeah, we ended up ordering the blank rims, and we built the hubs and the spokes and everything out of it. We had to have the tires are actually repop from the old Model A tires. We got the no skid on them.
What about brakes? You know, a lot of guys, there's Brembo brakes, Wildwood, a lot of new brakes. You're running banana calipers. I love it. So where'd you find those babies?
Well, basically they just did reproduction calipers, but the reason that we went with banana calipers is because we had a 79 engine that we got on a trade for some work. You know, a guy came in, it's actually a friend of ours, and he said, hey, you know, I got all these parts, I want you to put together a bike for me. You know, can we do a trade? And I was like, well, I don't know, man, we got to pay the bills. And I was like, what do you got? And he, I got these cases, and I got some jugs and some heads. I was like, well, if you got a motor, you got more than parts. Yeah, we could do something. And this is actually, because of that, the first big twin that we've ever put together. And when we were putting it together, it was kind of like, okay, if we need to order something, if we don't have time to build it, you know, why not order something that would have actually been with that bike, and something just big and gaudy, but do it in a way that it kind of fits and flows with everything that you're doing. And we weren't necessarily going to run a front brake, but then the idea just kind of struck, like, you know, for one, why build it if you're not going to ride it? And in Michigan, if you're going to register a bike, you gotta green sheet it. It's got to have front brakes, got to have certain things to it. And so we figured, man, if we're going to run a front brake, why not just run the same one and just flip it over the other way and make it look cool?
Well, it does look cool. It definitely popped right out when I saw it rolling in. Let's talk a little bit about that shovel head. I mean, starting with the rocker boxes. Looks like you did a little bit of carving up there, and you got some brass trim. Is that actually crossovers, or what do you got going on there?
Yeah, those are the oil crossovers, and we split the rocker boxes in half and welded up the oil holes. So we had to make those crossovers. So we got a chunk of brass and just started turning it down on the lathe until we got the honeycomb kind of look. Cut it in half and drilled a hole through it, and that's how we got those.
Very, very nice. Anything else going on in there during that rebuild? Did is it running 74-inch, 80-inch? What do you got for the stroke and bore there?
It's all stock. I think we had to have the cylinders bored over 20 thousandths, but that was it. Other than that, everything is stock on it. Surprisingly, everything was clean. When I opened it up, I was expecting it to be dirty, gross, grimy, but it was really clean inside of it.
So Ivan, have you ridden this yet? I know this is probably the first chance you even got a chance to step back and look at it, you were saying, but have you had a chance to ride it and check everything out yet?
No, we literally, for the very first time, wheeled it out of the garage just to come here, man. I'm dying to ride. I'm actually dying just to get it going and get the headlights put on it, get the taillight put on it, get it registered, and I mean, the cool thing about bikes like this is they're really fun to build and they're really neat and interesting. It's cool to see people stopping and looking at them, but it's mostly at shows like this that you see that. In my opinion, you should see that in a Walmart or Rite Aid parking lot next to a Volvo. That's cool, and now you riding a bike like that, actually, that's what makes building it, so cool, is just being able to go down the street on it.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I really want to thank you, for your effort. I mean, you guys must have called me a dozen times over the past day. Hey, we're coming, and I know you were very apprehensive about it. We appreciate the kind of effort and dedication to put a bike out like that, and then to go with 3 or 4 days without sleep and driving, across the state to get here. That really means a lot to us. So, you're here. We got in this morning. So, what do you think about being here at the AMD World Championship, right on the sacred grounds of the Harley Museum?
It's unbelievable. It's just almost too much. Never actually thought we'd get here. The way things have been going.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the kind of thing where, especially since push is so hard the last 3 days, that it's I don't know, it's more than a dream, man. I mean, you say you appreciate it, but for me to actually hear you say that, no, man, the shoe's on the other foot, and it's just cool. I couldn't feel more welcome. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for that one hell of an effort to get here. Beautiful bike. I like the interpretation. I think we're going to see more of the Iver Brothers at AMD events, and appreciate your hard work and dedication to get here. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.